Welcome to the Life's Best Medicine podcast, where we are finding hope and healing one episode at a time. No appointment needed, no rubber gloves, and no coping. Just a healthy dose of life lessons to help equip you for this wild journey we call life. Hey everyone, this is a friendly reminder that we are here for entertainment purposes only. We may not even be that entertaining at times, but this is not medical advice. Talk to your doctor, check with your healthcare professionals before making any lifestyle changes or medicine changes. What we're talking about is our clinical experience and what we've seen. And so if you really want our advice, you can consult us. You can actually consult me as a doctor, or you can consult my guest and get all your questions answered. But we can't give free medical advice because we can't pay our bills with that, but we can help to educate you a bit and allow you to think a little bit. And always reach out to your medical professional before making any lifestyle changes. Thank you. It's August. It's too hot out there. You got to cool down. Cool down. Have a nice protein shake from Health Code Get Health, our sponsors here. GETHLTH.com. Discount code MedHealth. They have some awesome vanilla shakes and also chocolate macadamia. So it's that time. Cool down, chill out a little bit, and enjoy some Health Code. And thank you for sponsoring this episode. Hello, and welcome back to the Life's Best Medicine podcast. For me, Life's Best Medicine is seeing people improve their lives and kind of move forward and get healthier. And I have one of my patients here. We're doing an impromptu podcast here. Garth, welcome, man. So great to have you.
Hey, Dr. Brian Lenzkes, good to be on.
Yeah, man. So tell people your story. Let's go back, like growing up, tell them like what life was like and how you got to where we started together.
Well, I'm 74 years old. I was born in 1951. So I grew up in the 50s, was a teenager in the 60s. Then I went on to college, got a couple of college degrees, and when
As
I
a
was
kid,
about
as a
20,
kid, as a kid
what?
was weight as a kid was weight and diabetes type stuff an issue for you?
No, I played football and stayed in shape, and at that time I was always trying to make weight. I was always a little bit too heavy, so I was always trying to lose some weight, but I wasn't overweight or anything. And of course, back then, that was over 50 years ago, they were pushing proteins and put a bunch of bananas in a big milkshake and try to build yourself that way. And I lifted weights and stuff. I did all that and was really good. And then when I got to be about 22 years old, I noticed I was starting to pack on all this weight. And I didn't quite understand where it was coming from, but I was getting heavy, and I could see it in my face. I could see it in my starting double chin. This is at the age of 22, and that's when Dr. Atkins came out with his book, The Atkins Diet Revolution. That was in 1972, and I was probably one of the first people to run down and buy his book. He called it Atkins Diet Revolution. I've found out since he didn't really start the revolution. He repackaged it. There were a lot of doctors that came before him, and even clear back into the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s that were basically had already come up with the backing and the science. And some of them have some pretty incredible stories, but I'd never heard of them. And But in Atkins' book, and he came out with in 72, he basically repackaged all of that knowledge we already had and put it in another book. And I read it and I thought, wow, that sounds good. So I started following the Atkins diet when I was 22. And
Wow.
that's basically it was a very low carb diet. People that are familiar with it, you eat meat, you eat eggs, he allowed some pretty he allowed some stuff with salads and fruits and vegetables and stuff, but not a lot. And I followed his diet and immediately took off those pounds I'd put on. And by the time I was 25 years old, I was looking really good. I was single and I was romping around, and I could wear I think I had a 32 waist jeans back then and stuff. And then I got married 2 years later when I was 27. Go back and look at my wedding pictures. I was still really doing good. And I was at the same time, I was in the Army National Guard. So I had to make weight, same as everybody else in the Army. National Guard, they don't distinguish between active duty and guard. You're all under the same standards. So I had to make weight. I had to pass the PT test and all that stuff. So for the time I was in that military service, I kept in shape. I kept my weight down, and then I up and retired out of the National Guard in 1999, and everything just kind of went south because I wasn't doing the PT tests anymore. I wasn't really watching what I was doing, even though I was familiar with Atkins stuff. And the people at National Guard kept kidding me because I was really, I used to get little awards for my PT test. I would score the highest in my unit on the PT test. And they'd call me up in front of the formation. And the funny thing was, for a prize, they would give me a great big giant Snickers bar.
Yeah.
That's
For
what
being
they'd
in
give
shape, you
me
get a
for my
Snickers.
prize.
Yeah, yeah.
And they'd say, take this home and eat it and come back next month and give us another championship. Anyway, when I left all of that, I went right back to like when I was 22. I started putting on the weight again and everything. And then it wasn't long after that, I got my first diagnosis of diabetes type 2 because I started a new job in California, and the first thing they had me do when I started this new job was go in and have a physical. Well, I peed in the cup and all that stuff, and they came back and they said, "Wow, your sugars are way way out of line."
And
We
you were
got
around 38, right? If I remember
Yeah,
right, 38 or
I
so
was
at that time.
around 38 years old then. They said,
Yeah,
"Yeah, your
still young.
sugars are way out of whack. You got to find out what's going on before we can, solidify this employment." So I went to a doctor in California, and sure enough, they said, "Yeah, you're insulin resistant. You got type 2 diabetes, blah blah blah." So they started me on the pills. Back then, I don't remember the names of them.
It was probably metformin, and then they go
And
to
stuff. Yeah,
glipizide, and
all the
yeah.
pills I started on, and that that helped for a while. They didn't. Nobody ever really talked about diet. No one said to stop eating what you're doing. It said just take these pills. So I followed their advice. I
They
should have
probably
gone
said
back and
eat
reviewed my
less.
history with my Atkins book, but I didn't. And then I moved back to Utah, took a job here in Utah where I live now, and found a new doctor, MD, USC grad, all that stuff, and a good guy. But his whole basis back then, the way he practiced medicine, and he's an internist, MD internist, was to just keep taking enough high doses of insulin. Well, he left me on the pills for a while, and he said, you know what, these pills aren't really efficient. Let's get you going on insulin. And his approach to it was, we're going to give you doses of insulin to keep up with your carbohydrates. So, just continue eating what you want, and we'll adjust the doses of insulin with your carbohydrate level. That's
been the standard of care. That's what they
Yeah.
said. They go, hey, how many carbs are you eating? Okay, instead of saying, hey, why don't we cut
count
back
your
on
carbs.
that?
That was the deal. Count your carbs and then take this much insulin. So I carried on that way for quite a few years, and then he retired out just a couple of years ago. He retired out and turned his practice over to another person. That's fine. I went with the practice. But at that time, I thought, you know what? I'm going to do some shopping around and find out what else is out there, because by that time, I was up to 260 pounds, and I'm only 5'11", and I was shooting 210 units of insulin a day. I was shooting about 130 units of rapid acting, and then another 90 units of slow acting insulin every single day. And he actually, before he retired, my doctor told me, he said, Garth, you're taking way too much insulin. He even told me that. He says, you're taking too much insulin. I said, well, what do you want me to do? I'm trying to keep my level under 7, which is where you want it. You want it, my A1C under 7, and I can't be there without taking this much. Well, he never suggested, well, let's look at your diet and what you're eating. It's like, okay, well, if that's what you have to do, then that's what you have to do. Well, so when he retired out, I did some shopping around, and I found this guy in San Diego. He's kind of a nutcase. He's a fanatic. His name's Brian Lenzkes.
Yeah, in 2025.
Sorry,
I've been
Brian.
I've been called that. I've been called way worse than that. That's
I'm just joking, but so I found you, and I called your office, and I said, I'm looking around for some other ways to do things. And they said, well, we're the San Diego Metabolic Clinic. And the more I looked into it, and I did some pretty good vetting on you and the clinic and the practice, and everything checked out and looked really good. So I called and I said, I want to get a membership. So in October of 2025, picked up a membership to the Metabolic Clinic and Dr. Brian Lenzkes, and we've been working from there to this point. And since then, I've come from 260 pounds down to 184. I've cut my insulin from 210 units a day down to about 32. We did a lot of lab work, quite a bit of lab work, and Dr. Lenzkes said, well, are you sure you're a type 2? Because I'd cut all my visceral fat down. I'd cut everything that normally causes insulin resistance. I had cut that all away, and I was still having to track with insulin. So Dr. Lenzkes says, well, are we sure you're even type 2? Has anybody ever tested that? And I said, no, no one's ever questioned it. He says, well, there's a lab test that test for that. I mean, it's been around a long time. That's how we know whether people are type 1 or type 2. So we got that lab work done just a few months ago. And it came back very interesting because the lab work came back and it said, well, guess what? You're part of the 10% that we don't know about. There's 10% of you guys out there. You're neither type 1 and you're neither type 2. So we call you insulin deficient with uncertain subtype. So that's me. I'm an
Yeah,
uncertain subtype.
yeah, no evidence of autoimmune. Like there's nothing
Well,
showing.
yeah,
And we're like,
but
okay, we got to
they
figure this
call it
out.
autoimmune because it's acting more like type 1, but they say it's not type 1 because I don't have the antibodies. Type 1 diabetics carry certain antibodies, and I don't have those. But all my characteristics are more like type 1. So, and I'm not acting like a type 2. So I'm in this kind of, twilight zone. Maybe Rod Serling will show up or something and say, what's with this
Well,
Limburg
I
guy?
still think we have some really promising things we're looking at, right? Looking at
Yeah.
the gut microbiome stuff, we have some work to do. There's other things we're going to work on and see what that does because you're killing it. Like lifestyle wise, activity, like you're tell people what you're doing daily on your exercise.
So this has all been refined. I took what I knew from my Atkins days. I took what I knew from that. And I took what I knew from my Army training and staying in shape and doing PT and all of that. I took all of that and I started on just a low carb diet and started working on my weight first because I wasn't in really good enough shape to just go out and start walking and running. I knew I needed to take some weight off my body because it would have put too much stress on my joints and everything else to just go out and start doing something crazy, without. So I took care of some of the weight first, and with these adjustments I made, I started cutting back on the carbs, way back on the carbs, sugar, grains, all that stuff. And the longer I went along with that, basically the stricter I got. And people tell me that a lot of people just eventually start sliding over more to carnivore. Once they start on low carb, it's not unusual to just keep going and switching more to more carnivore. So today, I would call myself a carnivore. I I don't eat any fruit. I don't eat any vegetables. I don't eat grain. I don't eat pasta. I don't eat anything, any processed food. My daily food now is beef, eggs, cream, butter, cheese, and that's pretty much it. And
So
I,
last time we talked, you were doing sardines and all. Are you doing that anymore? Or did you cut them?
well, I do the fish on occasion. I do the sardine. I don't do tuna anymore. Found out tuna's, too weak. The best fish and the best fish is actually the sardines. And if you can get them skin and bone, which I can't at Costco. Costco only sells
Yeah, they just cut that. I know. My wife was just telling me.
yeah,
Yeah,
they only
they're
sell the
skinless, boneless.
skinless and boneless. And actually, the way they pack it is it's better if you can find the skin and bones. So I still do the sardines once in a while, but really, all my money that I can save from not buying fruits, vegetables, grains, bread, all that stuff. All my money that I can save from not buying that stuff goes into my beef because eggs are cheap. But if I want good quality beef, that's where my money goes. And so I actually have cut my grocery bill down quite a bit, even though I'm buying high quality beef, because I don't buy anything else. I don't
Yeah.
I don't spend money anywhere else. And I go to Costco and I go to some other grocery stores and I watch what people, I don't say anything, I just look, observe. I watch what people carry out to their cars in their baskets and I'm going, oh my crud. That's what I used to do. I used to carry all that crap out to my car too. And how much is that costing people? Well, now I walk into Costco, I don't even pick up a cart anymore. I just walk in there. I walk straight to the meat department, pick up a couple of trays of ribeyes. I walk down, get some dairy, and I can carry it all in my arms. And I walk up to the cashier and I throw it on the conveyor belt. And it comes up to maybe $130. The cashier goes, is that everything? Where's your card? I don't have a card. You didn't use a card? No, I don't use a card anymore. And this is it. This is this is everything. Okay, do you want a box? No, I can carry it out in my car just as it is. So I pull it up in my arms and I walk out the exit and the little lady's standing there waiting to sign off on my receipt. And she counts the stuff in my arms and I walk it out to the car. And it's so easy. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to mess with recipes. I don't have to think about, oh, what aisle do I need to go down now to find this? And people say, but that's a boring way to eat. How can you eat that way? That's boring. And I always ask them, I say, well, what did you eat today? And they'll tell me. And I said, what did you eat yesterday? And they'll tell me. And what did you eat the day before? And they'll tell me. And I'll say, well, that sounds like a lot of the same thing to me. You're eating the same
Yeah,
thing every
most people
day
are,
I am,
yeah.
but
Yeah,
you're
most people are
eating
a creature of habit and they
but
can't
you're
just can't.
eating grain and bread and all this other stuff every day. I'm eating the same thing every day, but I'm not eating what you're eating. I'm eating my beef and my eggs and my cream and butter. And I've got this ground beef dish I really like that I just came up with on my own, and I cook enough of it that I have all my beef and eggs and everything all cooked together, cheese, cheddar cheese. And I put it in a big bag, and when I get hungry and I want something to eat, I pull it out, I throw some in a bowl, top it off with some sour cream, and I used to do intermittent fasting really strictly, a 4 hour window to eat, no eating. I've lifted that off of me because I don't feel like I need it anymore, and I only eat when I'm hungry, and when I'm hungry and I eat, it's just what I told you. I don't deviate, so I only eat my beef, eggs, when I'm hungry, and then I'm not hungry, and then you know, 10 maybe 10 hours later, if I'm hungry again, then I pull out some more beef, eggs, and stuff, eat those.
How about do you have cravings for sugar? Do you have cravings for desserts, those kind of things
No,
nowadays?
and I went to a big family uh, outdoor picnic last Sunday. It was for I've had a new baby granddaughter, and so we had this kind of family celebration for the new baby granddaughter, and it was at this park and had a big pavilion and everything. They had tables and tables of stuff laid out there with nothing but high processed sugars, carbohydrates. I mean, they had everything. They had the watermelons cut, they had the pineapples cut, they had everything you can imagine. They had chocolate milk, you know, they had everything out there. And I asked beforehand what was going to be available, and they told me. I said, that's fine. So I went to Walmart and I bought a little butane gas stove. And I took it with me with some ribeyes and my skillet and my beef tallow. And while they were all chowing down on all this stuff, I was over on my own little table and having a great time because my grandson came over and he wanted to help cook this. And so he and I had dinner together. I cooked the ribeye for him. He loved it. He's like 10 years old. I told him, I said, you'll grow taller if you eat your beef and eggs. And that really excited him. So I had my little butane stove out there and I cooked my meal, the stuff I eat, and I ate it and it was great. And everybody else enjoyed themselves. I enjoyed myself. We all socialized. I didn't tell them anything about the way they were eating and they didn't say anything to me. So it was just great. Everybody
Yeah, that's
got
it.
along great.
That's an important point right there because a
Yeah.
lot of people feel like I don't want to be the outcast, the only one who's not eating the
And
cookies and the
I
donuts
and
and
no
the
one
cake and
and
the
I can honestly tell you, no one felt that way. I didn't feel that way. They didn't feel that way.
yeah,
I
and
had
it's
my
nice you could
oldest.
do your thing. This is an important thing for a lot of people who are listening is Garth could have sat there and say, "Well, I'm eating this because there's no carbs and I'm healthier. I'm getting my sugars." And look at you guys are eating so many carbs. Look what you're eating.
Yeah,
There's
don't
processed food,
lecture people.
and let people enjoy their food. And Garth's
Yeah.
not one. If people give him a bad time, he'll jump right back at him. But man, your level of dedication to this and your level of of just sticking with it. I mean, everyone kind of has these downtimes, but man, you've been pretty amazing. That's why I wanted you to share your story because I'll tell you, one thing you have that I see people that have success do is that I've never once heard you complain, go, oh gosh, I can't have this. I can't. You're like, oh, I can have this and I love it. And I'm having a good attitude is a
Yeah.
huge thing. I never once heard you say, gosh, I feel so
Well,
restricted or man, I,
and maybe I'm just different, but I deliberately, intentionally on Sunday with this big party, I intentionally walked over and walked past all those tables just to see what my feelings were. And they had cakes out. Oh, they had chocolate cakes out there. They had ice cream cakes. They had everything. And I I looked at it all and it looked really beautiful. But I proudly say I was not in any way interested in eating any of it. I looked at it and I admired it. And I said, you know what? I just ate a ribeye and a half over there and I don't feel hungry right now. And I don't have any interest in this. I mean, everybody, it's fine
yeah.
that other
And
people are enjoying it, but I
and
just
if you
wanted
didn't
to
plan
see what my
ahead,
feeling would be about it.
yeah.
And I didn't, I didn't, I didn't avoid it. I didn't stay away. I walked right past all those tables and I just looked at it. And I was able to just say, great, and walk off. And
Well, that shows your wisdom. You planned ahead. You go, what kind of food's going to be there? If something I could eat, I'll do it. But if
yeah,
not, I'm going to bring my own and I'll cook my own, right? And so
yeah,
it's so huge because so many people go, well, I was there and I was stuck, so I had to have the pasta and the bread and the
pasta
rice and all that because I didn't have anything. So that's all
thing.
I was going
So
to
you
start.
bring your own.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
bring your own, you plan ahead and go, okay, and if you had a cookie here and there, whatever, and then you go, okay, I did, and I'm back on track. But you've been so strong in that. But I think like for people who don't know, what was your before October, like before, and you'd already lost a fair amount of weight before you saw me. What was your diet like before you changed what you were doing? Like what, like would you be eating all that stuff if you were there?
oh yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd have had everything there on that table. That I used to. People think that they can people think that they can outdo their carbohydrates by exercise, and I found out that's not true. You cannot do enough exercise to ever overcome the amount and level of the carbohydrates you eat. I was going to this buffet. I was going to this buffet and they have salad bars all over the place. They have all the carbs and everything. Great buffet. And I'd go in there and I'd spend an hour and 15 minutes in there eating everything. And then I'd come home and, you know, do a walk and think, wow, I just burned all that off. No, no, doesn't quite work that way. And like Dr. Ben Bickman says in his book, for those of you who know Dr. Ben Bickman, PhD, your metabolic health, he says, for your metabolic health, always the dominant factor is what you eat. He says, genes are important. Genes are absolutely important. Exercise is important, but they are not the dominant factors in your metabolic health. That comes from what you eat. And and you believe that because you're a disciple of Bickman's too.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's just
yeah.
what I found out. It's the way it is.
Yeah, and that's what I was just looking at because we're talking about it. But I just asked Grok, and Garth's a huge AI guy also. So he goes, "Hey, this comedy, I've looked at this, and he's so great coming up with ideas and different recipes that he can do, and just using AI to his benefit because it's scary for a lot of people." And scary for a lot of docs because people come in with all kinds of wild stuff. But Garth has always like said, "Hey, this doesn't make sense, does it?" Based on what Ben's saying and what this person's saying, and so it says here for a large Snickers bar that you got for your award, it said you'd have to just to burn that off alone, you'd have to run at least 4 to 5 miles for that
Yeah,
one bar. And assuming that's
absolutely.
all you ate all day long, you have to run 4 or 5 miles to burn that
Yeah.
off. So to think you're gonna have a big bag of Lay's potato chips and an ice cream sundae and a cookie and a donut that day, and you're gonna run it off, you're gonna be running about 46 miles that day. So, it's just really, we've all fallen into that
Yeah.
paradigm. But you've been staying steady. So let me ask you that what was your effect on the missus now? She sees you doing this huge change in your life. How did she adjust to this or?
She's she's doing it too in her own way. She hasn't she hasn't gone total carnivore like I have, but when I'm cooking a ribeye tonight, she'll say, "Where's mine? Are you doing
Yeah.
one for me too?" She wants she wants one, and
And she's had some health benefits also, right?
yeah.
Just by being married to you and going by your example.
Well, she knew me back in the days when I was the Atkins guy. So, because when we first got married, I was still doing Atkins, and she was used to making the bread out of egg whites and
Hmm.
all that stuff. And then I followed Dr. Gundry for a while. He's the plant guy. He's plant based everything. Gundry is. So I followed him for a while. And I'm sorry if this offends, but I find it kind of funny. I remember in one of his books I read, he was proud. He was proud of the fact to say that on my diet, on my plant-based diet, you won't ever have to use toilet paper. That was his basis was you can go do your number two and you won't have to use any toilet paper because I've got you on a plant-based diet.
Wow.
And I look back on that and I thought, man, that's kind of
That was Gundry?
that was Gundry. Yeah, that was
Wow.
Gundry. that was funny.
But
So,
he's not plant-based anymore, right? Like
well, I kind of drifted off of him because,
yeah.
and then he went way high into admitting basically that on my plant-based diet, you need supplements because my plant-based diet doesn't give you enough supplements. So he went in and basically became a supplement salesman, sells a lot of supplements. I think he makes
Yeah.
more money that way than
Sure. Yeah,
anything
that's
else.
generally how it is. Yeah, for sure.
So, and then I find out, and I've run this by my AI, and it's true as far as I know. All all of the supplements are basically made from beef and eggs. So the people that are selling you all these supplements are the people telling you not to eat beef and eggs, but they're taking the beef and eggs, making supplements out of them, and then
Oh,
marking them up 40% to sell them back to you. Now, I I don't want to make people mad by saying that, but I'm kind of a researcher myself, and I've researched this out. So I'm not saying that supplements are no good at all. They are. There are some that are very effective, but you have to be careful because you can spend a lot of money on supplements when you can take that money and buy the source, buy the beef, buy the eggs, and eat the source. You don't have to wait for someone to package it into a capsule and then sell it back to you. And anyway, that's my little 2 cents on that.
yeah. So how has your life changed like from in the last year? Anything that you today now go, wow, there's stuff I can do or things I enjoy or that's how's your life changed?
Oh, it's a lot simpler, a lot less complicated. My shopping grocery list is very short. I can get in and out of the grocery stores in a matter of minutes instead of a half hour or so. I avoid the center aisles of the store. I don't really even go down them anymore. And
Yeah, it's so
so,
frustrating. Like a guy like you, you're not reading labels anymore because nothing you eat has labels, it looks like, for the most part. And then, I was just today I was reading there's a study that I was just looking at from UC Davis, and they said, just talking about avocado oil chips, they say cooked in
yeah,
olive oil. It said 93% of them are not made in olive oil. They're canola, safflower, and all these other terrible oils, and they
yeah,
mix a little, but they don't have to disclose it. They don't have to disclose it.
yeah,
So it said 93, and it said 100% of salad dressings that they tested were that didn't have what the type of oil they said they had. And then 89% of mayonnaise that says avocado only did not have avocado only.
yeah,
But there's ways the FDA they get around all these things as just their syllabus say it. And then also there's so many things with produce also where they can call it organic, but they're spraying the heck out of it after a certain amount of time. And so a lot of us are misled on what we're eating, and so you going in being able to carry out your
yeah.
groceries in one arm, and nothing goes bad.
Well, I thought it was, I read some stuff about seed oils and found it rather, it's not really amusing because it's not really funny, but when Crisco came out with Crisco vegetable oil back in 1907, they were allowed to call it vegetable oil because there was no food regulators back then.
Hmm.
But it's made out of cotton seeds. That's just a matter of fact. It's cottonseed oil, but they call it vegetable oil. So for 70 years or more, and most people switched right over to it. They got rid of their butter, they got rid of the lard, they got rid of the beef tallow and started cooking everything in seed oils. And canola oil, same thing. It's comes from a rape seed that's grown in Canada. They didn't want to call it rapeseed oil because that didn't sound right. So they call it canola oil because it's Canada, right? there's all these seed oils now, and I was just reading a study today that said that the French fries that you ate in 2024, if they were cooked in seed oil, they're still inside you because
Yeah,
those seed
it's
oils
crazy.
have a half-life that's enormous. So, and very few restaurants don't avoid seed oils. You have to ask,
Yeah,
what are
it's
you
almost
cooking your stuff
impossible.
in? And
Yeah.
probably most
Even
people at a restaurant don't even know.
and you don't know, and like
They
you don't
can't
even
tell you.
know. I was just talking to someone who works for one of the big steak houses, and they said, you know what, we cook it in canola oil. They
Oh
cook their
yeah.
steaks in canola oil. Like, you got to be
Well, that's
kidding me.
rapeseed.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's like you just don't know. That's why doing what you're doing, say I'm just gonna go grab this stuff or cook it at
Yeah.
home. I know what it is. I enjoy it. I can make my ribeye that. Like something like a ribeye, it's so disappointing because you can make it better at home. Like you make it the way
Yeah.
you like it, and not have to go,
Like it.
oh yeah, it's
Put the
overcooked,
spices on
undercooked,
it.
whatever, and you're not putting
But you know
bad
what
stuff on it.
surprised me the other day? I read another study. You know what actually, nutrient wise and everything, you know what actually even overtakes a ribeye? Ground beef.
Yeah,
Believe
wow.
it, ground beef, the cheapest beef in the supermarket is actually the highest in nutrition because it's taken from every part of every muscle of the cow. So, and it's ground beef, but they measured it out, and yeah, ribeye gets all the attention and it gets all the photographs, but good
Hmm.
old plain round beef, like maybe close, maybe $6 or $7 a pound.
Yeah,
Where we,
I have a guy like you who's like he goes, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And he had struggled. He had been on all these like liquid diets and he did a ton of stuff. And he's a banker and he just always struggled. And he would lose a bunch of weight, but then he gained all of it back plus some. So when he came to me, I'm like, look, do you cook at home? He goes, you know what? He said, I don't care. I'll eat the same thing every day if I like it. And so what he ended up doing is making a big, huge batch of ground beef
yeah,
on Sunday, and then on Monday he put Mexican sauce on it. On Tuesday,
yeah,
like salsa on it. On Tuesday he made a little
yeah,
ginseng sauce for it, and he goes, I feel happy, and he's like, this is I love every day. I look forward to my hamburger that I'm eating, and I go, do you want to change it up? He's like, no, I love this, and my weight's coming down
yeah.
every week. And he's feeling better in his energy and mood. Like how anything else changed as far as your energy level, focus, mental
Oh,
functioning, any of those kind of things, mood, any of those things.
sometimes my mind just keeps working all the time. I don't have any brain fog anymore. I'm up
Was
at
that an issue for you before, Garth?
yeah. I I a lot of days I had a hard time even getting out of bed because I just wasn't my brain wasn't working, that great. Now I'm up every morning at 4:30. I'm out the door at 5:15. I'm on my 3.5 mile walk before the street lights are off, and I'm back at the house just before 7. And then I'm off thinking and working on something else, and it's like that almost every day now. I have so much thinking and other things going on. I have friends of mine that are my age that are housebound now. I feel so bad for them. They're housebound. They can't leave the house. They can't walk anymore. They're losing their memories. They're they're getting into dementia. They're finding it harder to talk. I can see it. I When I visit with them, I can see it. They're struggling. They struggle to form sentences. They struggle to get out what they want to say, and I feel so bad for them. And they're my age, you know,
Yeah,
74.
that's a huge part. I mean, what you're doing now is decreasing the systemic inflammation, cutting back on the insulin as much as you have so far. I know you want to get off it right away. It's like, well, let's just take it because anyone listening, the issue, and Garth and I had great discussions about this because he's smart, man. As you can tell, he's like looking at studies, he's listening to all the experts out there. And we all know that insulin causes insulin resistance. So if you're taking more and more, like if
Yeah,
you're on 210
exactly.
units, you are so resistant to insulin that you're just going to keep going up and up and up and not getting that effect. So, but that being said, if you let your sugars go to 400, your pancreas won't be able to make insulin at all, and you're stuck on insulin. So it's trying to find this balance of how do we lower the sugars as much as possible using the minimal amount of insulin that we can
Right,
to accomplish that. So getting
exactly.
down to 32 units from 210 units is like it's unbelievable. But I think with time, there's stuff we're gonna work on that we're gonna figure out how to get that lower and lower and lower. And sooner or later you go, hey, guess what? And you went through times where you were off insulin for a little while, then it
Yeah, for a
started
few
creeping
days I
up.
could be off it,
Yeah.
and then it would kind of, make its way back. It's that darn Dawn syndrome because my liver, I've tracked this with my continuing glucose monitor. It's like clockwork. At 4 o'clock every morning, my liver starts to put out glucose.
Yeah, and cortisol levels go up and glucagon starts
And
releasing it. Yeah, yeah, all those
and my
things.
problem is most people that happens to almost everybody because your liver starts putting out glucose so that you can get out of bed and go to work. Well, most people have a pancreas that's willing and able to take care of that. Well, mine, as I told you, the type of diabetic I am, it's insulin deficient. So my pancreas at 4 o'clock, when my liver starts putting out that glucose, it's not ready. It's unable or it's unwilling to do it. So I always end up with some, Down syndrome
Yeah,
with
and part of
little
and part
bit
of
of. So that's when I have to step in and help. It's not like I'm just trying to help it out, provide assistance. It's like my they're having a battle, and I'm the general, and I'm looking at it. I'm saying, you know what? These guys need some help. I'm sending in the 101st Airborne. So I have to
Yep.
put together a little bit of rapid acting insulin, send in the 101st, and
And you're
then
shutting down the glucagon response. So
yeah,
glucagon saying, well, there's no insulin, so sugar must be low. And it releases all the sugar from your storage, from your fat, and from your liver to raise the sugar up. But it's getting a false message because insulin's not there to shut down that. So
right,
taking that little bit of insulin that you are in the morning, shutting down that glucagon response and keeping your sugars from going too high. And it's so frustrating because people think if I eat zero sugar, then I should never have high sugars. Well, it's
right.
just
That's
your
what I
body's
thought.
always making sugar. It just makes it.
That's what I
So
thought.
that's why, the ADA's been so off. They go, you need to eat 60 grams of carbs with each meal. Like, your
Yeah.
body will make it. It's that important. It's going to make it for you. You don't need to put it in there. So, Garth, what's life's best medicine for you, man? Like, where do you go when things are hard, when you're like struggling? Like, where do you find your peace, your joy? Like, if you had a word to give my listeners, what would you tell them really matters?
Well, being able to keep your health going so you can enjoy your grandkids, so that you can have conversations with them and keep up with your adult kids. That's my life right now. And I've got my oldest son. He's pretty much there. He's 40. He's 45 years old, and we have a lot of discussions about diet and exercise. And he's right there with me. So, and you can do things without being over burdensome, without really lecturing people. I've had a couple of friends of mine that just flat out told me they're not interested. They just want to do what their doctor tells them, and they're just going to do that. And they're type 2 diabetics. They're on metformin. They're on all these pills. And I've offered to actually give them Bickman's book, a free copy, and I've had them tell me, "Don't waste your money. Don't send it to me because I won't read it."
Yeah, it's hard to see that, but you're right. Like
They just
what
say, "I
you're
won't read
saying,
it. I won't read it." So don't even bother. Well, so there's some people that are just totally incurious. And you
there's a
can't
lot of
change them. You can't convince them that your metabolic health is more than just taking pills and doing what the current thing is with the medical profession. You have
yeah.
to be your own advocate, is what I'm trying to say. Is
Yeah, it's a hard thing. And Garth, what you're saying about patients, the same thing's true of doctors. I have docs go, "Hey, let me send you what I'm doing. Let me help you." And they're like, "Yeah, no, I'm not going to learn all that stuff. I don't have time. And the argument is, I've got 9 minutes with the patient. You think I'm going to sit there for an hour like you do and explain all this stuff?" I'm like, "Well, if you want to help the patient, you will. Like
yeah,
you have to. You have to get out of the system then if you'll do that." But you're right. And a lot of people are looking, it's just like religion. Like, I don't want to give up all this stuff to be religion. I can't drink with my buddies every night. I can't do this. I can't do that. So they kind of looking instead of saying, "Hey, what's best for me in life?" And so, saying, "Hey, if we could taper down your meds, you're going to live longer." And what you're saying is so, like, I hope everyone's catching this. At 74 years of age, Garth is healthier than he was in his 60s. He's mentally clearer. He sees it and I remember you telling me stories about carrying on conversation. You couldn't think of the next word you wanted to say, and you're kind of like, not like what the people you're seeing now, and being able to be sharp and clear and feeling better and more energetic, and you're you're it's ridiculous. Like your pant size now is like 32,
yeah.
34, and it was like 43, right? Like less than a year ago. It's like crazy.
Well, and another thing with me is I went. I got a sore on my head about 2 years ago, and one on my arm, and I went to my MD, the one that retired. I went to him, and he looked at it and he says, "I don't know what the hell that is." And he says, "You better go see a dermatologist," because he says, "I don't know." So I did. I found this dermatologist. He's actually an MD, but he got a specialty in dermatology. He graduated medical school, did some residency in Chicago. He practices now out here in Salt Lake City. I went and saw him, and he took some samples. He came back, says, "We got to remove them. Got to take them off." So he took them off. So he says that's the beginnings of melanoma. I said, "Well, when did all this start?" And he says, "Oh, the sun. Been out in the sun too much." I said, "Okay, I accept that. He's a dermatologist. He knows what he's
Hmm.
talking about." And he does. He does. Nice guy, too. Then I get to finding out, back on this seed oil thing,
Yeah.
over the last few decades, we've replaced the fat under our skin with seed oil fat. It used to
Which
be,
which oxidizes and burns and
right,
does,
it
yeah.
used to be animal fat. Back in the day, it used to be animal fat under our skin. Now it's
Yeah.
seed oil fat. Well, over time, if you get rid of the seed oils and you go back to the animal fats and you replace that underlying fat under your skin with back to animal fat, you won't sunburn. You can go back and look at the charts. When all of the sunscreen stuff started to be sold, is almost exactly the time
Yeah.
when we all went over to seed oils.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before that, when people were using other fats to cook with other than seed oils, they were selling copper tone and other things to make you brown,
Moretown. Yeah, exactly
not
right.
to
Yeah,
not
yeah,
to prevent the sun from burning you.
yeah. Yeah, Garth,
So
great. A lot of great stuff, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for joining me on short notice. I'm glad I don't want to keep you all day. I appreciate you coming and sharing your story because I think a lot of people can really listen. Everyone listening, this is like really, really, really important stuff. And Garth's journey is amazing. So Garth, keep up the
Well,
good
thank
work,
you.
man. And we'll keep discussing AI. We'll keep discussing these
Yeah.
new studies. I got to stay on my toes with you around, man, because you're like looking at all the data and studies and all
Well,
that.
you're the one that told me to read the books, and so I read them.
Yeah, you read them and
You're
you
the
just
one
did
that told me, hey,
everything.
you need to
So
read Bickman's book. You need to read this book. So I went and
yeah,
got them and read them.
yeah. Then you follow everything Bickman does and all these guys. There's so much good stuff.
Well,
But being
back
at
on
your age,
AI,
yeah,
so I've never met Dr. Bickman and probably never will. You've met him, you've been to lunch with him. I probably will never meet him unless you take me along on
oh,
one
we'll
of your
track you. We'll
trips.
get you over there, man. We'll get
So
you over there.
so what I do with AI is I got a Bickman file, and I told my AI, I said, I want you to read up on everything Bickman does. I want you to
Yeah,
actually read his book. AI can actually do that. They can actually read the book.
wild.
So when I have a question and I want it to come from Bickman, I go to my AI and I say, what would Dr. Bickman say about this? And AI comes back and says, this is what
Yeah,
Ben Bickman would tell you to do or say.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you
Wow,
can
Ben's
have
gonna
these
get a big head.
discussions with a doctor, even yourself, and it
That's
can be through
crazy.
AI.
Wow, it's incredible, man. It's incredible. We used to say, "What would Jesus do?" Now we say, "What would Dr. Bickman do?" I guess like he's gonna get a
Yeah.
big head when I tell him this story. So good
Yeah.
stuff. Hey, man, I gotta run. Thanks so
Okay.
much. Thanks so much, and we'll get this out because I want people to hear your story and get
Well,
motivated by you. And like,
appreciate all you're doing too.
yeah, man, you're killing it. Great stuff, man. Take
All
care,
right.
Guard. All
Take
right, man.
care.
Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We greatly appreciate your support. We would greatly appreciate a positive thumbs up on all of the platforms like iTunes and Spotify or wherever you're listening. And we just thank you for our Patreon supporters. We greatly appreciate your help in getting this message out. We think there's a lot of important information. And hopefully this helps you. Have a great day, and thank you for listening, and thank you for your support.